The acrid smoke of burning synthetics stung Commander Raina Nash's eyes as she led her team through the ruins of New Haven Colony. The world of Meridian had once been humanity's most promising outpost in the Cetus sector, but now it lay in ruins, another casualty of the relentless war with the Varen Empire. "Clear right," Lieutenant Dawson reported, his rifle scanning the skeletal remains of what had once been a residential block. "Clear left," Sergeant Patel added, her movements precise and practiced after years of combat experience. Raina nodded, keeping her own weapon ready as they advanced. The mission was straightforward: secure the colonial archives before they fell into enemy hands. But something felt off about this particular operation. The Varen forces had withdrawn too quickly, leaving behind an eerie silence that set her nerves on edge. A sudden crash from a nearby building caused the team to freeze. Raina held up her fist, and her squad immediately took defensive positions. The sound had come from what appeared to be a former administrative center, its once pristine white walls now scarred and blackened. "Life signs, Commander," Patel whispered, checking her scanner. "One signature, but it's different. Not matching standard human or Varen patterns." Raina frowned. That was unusual. The war had been raging for 3 years, and they'd encountered nothing but humans and Varens. "Dawson, Patel, cover the exits. I'm going to check it out." She approached cautiously, her boots crunching on broken glass and debris. The building's entrance was partially collapsed, forcing her to duck under a fallen beam. The interior was dark, illuminated only by shafts of pale sunlight filtering through holes in the ceiling. That's when she saw it, a figure slumped against a fallen desk, clearly wounded. But this was no human or Varen. The being's skin had an iridescent quality, shifting colors like oil on water, and its form was more graceful and elongated than either known species. The creature's eyes opened, revealing swirling patterns of gold and violet. It spoke, its voice melodious despite obvious pain. "Please. I seek asylum. The Varens, they will kill me for what I know." Raina kept her weapon trained on the stranger, but her tactical instincts told her this was no trap. The wounds were real, and the fear in those alien eyes was genuine. "Who are you? What species?" "I am Thuras, diplomatic envoy of the Luminary Collective. Were neutral in your conflict. Until the Varens discovered our technological advances could tip the balance of power. They demanded our allegiance. When we refused." The alien, Thuras, gestured to his wounds. Raina made her decision. If what Thuras said was true, this could change everything. A third species, with advanced technology and a reason to oppose the Varens? It could be the advantage humanity desperately needed. "Patel, Dawson, get in here. We've got a friendly wounded." "Patel, you're on medical. Dawson, help me secure the perimeter." As Patel began treating Thuras's injuries, Raina established contact with command. "Base, this is Nash. We've got a situation here. I'm requesting immediate evac and medical support. We've made first contact with a new species, a potential ally." The response crackled through her comm. "Copy that, Commander. Be advised, we're detecting multiple Varen signatures approaching your position. Evac is 20 minutes out. Can you hold?" Raina looked at Thuras, who was now sitting up straighter thanks to Patel's emergency treatment. The alien nodded, understanding the gravity of their situation. "I can fight, Commander Nash. My people may prefer diplomacy, but we are not helpless." "Base, that's an affirmative. Nash out." She turned to her team. "All right, people, we've got incoming hostiles and a VIP to protect. Dawson, take the north entrance. Patel, south. I'll take our guest to the second floor, better vantage point. Remember, we just need to hold until evac arrives." As they took their positions, Reyna couldn't help but feel that this moment was bigger than just another battlefield encounter. This could be the beginning of something new, a chance to end the war that had claimed so many lives. Thuras spoke softly as they climbed to the second floor. "Your kindness will not be forgotten, Commander. Perhaps this meeting, though born of violence, can lead to peace." "Let's survive the next 20 minutes first," Reyna replied, but she allowed herself a small smile. "Then we can talk about peace." The first sounds of Varen dropships echoed in the distance. Reyna checked her weapon one final time and glanced at her newfound ally. Sometimes, she reflected, the greatest changes in history began with the smallest acts of courage, like helping a wounded stranger in the ruins of a fallen world. The first Varen assault came without warning. A barrage of plasma fire lit up the darkened building, forcing Reyna and Thuras to duck behind a collapsed wall. The iridescent alien's wounds were still fresh, but he handled his own crystalline weapon with surprising grace. "Their tactics are predictable," Thuras observed, his voice calm despite the chaos. "The Varens always lead with overwhelming force, hoping to terrify their opponents into submission." Reyna nodded, impressed by his tactical awareness. "Patel, status report." "South entrance holding, Commander," Patel's voice crackled through the comm. "They're probing our defenses, but nothing we can't handle. Dawson's got 2 confirmed kills on the north side." Through the broken windows, Reyna could see the Varen forces advancing, their characteristic crimson armor glinting in the wan sunlight. They moved with mechanical precision, each step coordinated with their squad mates. But there was something different about their formation. "They're not just trying to clear the building," Reyna realized aloud. "They're hunting for something specific." She glanced at Thuras. "What exactly did you discover that made them so desperate to silence you?" Thuras's color-shifting skin rippled with what seemed to be concern. "The Varens aren't what they appear to be, Commander. Their empire, their supposed technological superiority, it's built on stolen achievements. They've been systematically raiding and pillaging advanced civilizations for centuries, absorbing their technology while eliminating all evidence of the original creators." A burst of plasma fire interrupted their conversation, scorching the wall inches from Reyna's head. She returned fire, her rifle's rounds finding their mark in a Varen soldier's chest. The enemy combatant fell, but 2 more took its place. "Commander." Dawson's urgent voice cut through the calm static. "They're deploying some kind of jamming field. Our long-range communications are going dark." Reyna cursed under her breath. Without comms, they couldn't coordinate with the incoming evacuation team. "Fall back to position Bravo. We need to consolidate our defenses." As if sensing their predicament, Thuras reached into a hidden compartment in his clothing and withdrew a small, pulsing device. "This may help. It's a quantum resonance beacon, it should cut through their jamming technology. But activating it will draw their attention. They'll know exactly where we are." Reyna weighed their options. The evac team would be flying blind without communications, but revealing their position could bring the full weight of the Varen force down on them. She looked at Thuras, searching his alien features for any sign of deception. Finding none, she made her decision. "Do it. Patel, Dawson, converge on my position. We're going to give them something to think about." Thuras activated the beacon, and immediately the air hummed with an almost musical frequency. Their comms crackled back to life, but as predicted, the Varen response was immediate and fierce. "Incoming!" Dawson shouted as he dove through a doorway, barely avoiding a barrage of plasma fire. Patel arrived moments later, her armor scorched but intact. The team formed a defensive circle, with Thuras in the center still maintaining the beacon. Reyna's rifle sang in harmony with Patel's heavy weapon and Dawson's precise shots, creating a deadly crossfire that kept the Varen forces at bay. 10 minutes to evac, Reyna announced, checking her chronometer. "We just need to hold them off a little longer." Thuras's voice carried over the firefight. "Commander, there's something else you need to know. The Varens, they're planning something far worse than simple conquest. They've discovered technology in my people's archives, weapons that could tear reality itself apart. That's why they attacked us. That's why they can't let any of us survive to warn others. A massive explosion rocked the building's foundation. Through the smoke, Reyna could see a new threat emerging, a Varen heavy assault unit, its armor bristling with weapons. Your people must have been formidable, Reyna commented, reloading her rifle, for the Varens to go to such lengths to silence them. We believed knowledge should be shared, not hoarded, Thuras replied, his skin flickering with what might have been pride. Perhaps that was our mistake. No, Reyna said firmly, standing up for your principles is never a mistake. Patel, give me the launcher. Dawson, covering fire. The next few minutes were a blur of constant motion and tactical decisions. The team moved like a well-oiled machine, with Thuras providing invaluable insights into Varen weak points. His quantum beacon pulsed steadily, a lighthouse in the storm of battle, guiding their eventual rescuers while keeping their communications clear. When the evac ship finally arrived, it descended like an avenging angel, its point defense system scattering the Varen forces. The team fought their way to the landing zone, covering each other's movements with practiced precision. As they boarded the ship, Reyna turned for one last look at the battlefield. The ruined building stood as a testament to their stand, not just a fight for survival, but a moment when two different species had chosen to trust each other despite every reason not to. Your actions today, Thuras said quietly as the ship lifted off, they give me hope that perhaps not all advanced species are destined to become like the Varens. That knowledge and power can be tempered with wisdom and compassion. Reyna watched the horizon, where more Varen ships were appearing. The real fight's just beginning, isn't it? Yes, Thuras agreed, but now you don't face it alone. The landing bay of Forward Operating Base Arcturus was a hive of activity as the evacuation ship touched down. Medical teams rushed forward, but stopped short at the sight of Thuras. His iridescent form drew stares and whispers from the gathered personnel. Stand down, Reyna ordered, stepping between her alien ally and the confused medics. He's under my protection. She turned to the approaching base commander, Colonel Victor Rhodes, whose weathered face betrayed no emotion. Commander Nash, Rhodes said, his voice carefully neutral. I understand you've brought an unusual guest to my base. Sir, this is Thuras of the Luminary Collective. He has critical intelligence about the Varens that could change the course of this war. Reyna maintained eye contact with her superior, refusing to back down. Rhodes studied Thuras for a long moment before responding. Very well. But he'll be under constant surveillance. Lieutenant Reed, escort our guest to the secure medical bay. Commander Nash, my office. Now. As Thuras was led away, he caught Reyna's eye. The swirling patterns in his irises conveyed both gratitude and concern. Patel and Dawson moved to follow, but Rhodes waved them off. Debrief with intelligence. I need to speak with your commander alone. Inside Rhodes's office, the colonel's carefully maintained composure cracked. Have you lost your mind, Nash? Bringing an unknown alien species directly into our command center? Sir, with respect, the Luminary Collective could be the ally we've been waiting for. Their technology could be a trap, Rhodes interrupted. For all we know, this Thuras could be a Varen plant, designed to infiltrate our defenses. We're losing this war, Commander. We can't afford to take risks based on sentiment. Reyna leaned forward. That's exactly why we need to take this chance, sir. I saw him fight. I saw the Varens try to kill him. Whatever he knows, they're terrified of it getting out. Before Rhodes could respond, the office door burst open. Dr. Samira Hassan, the base's chief scientist, rushed in, her dark eyes bright with excitement. Colonel, Commander, you need to see this. The medical scans of your alien friend, they're extraordinary. Minutes later, they stood in the medical bay's observation room, watching through one-way glass as doctors treated Thuris's wounds. Dr. Hassan pulled up a series of holographic displays. His biological structure is unlike anything we've seen, she explained. The way his cells process energy, the quantum-level neural networks in his brain, it's centuries ahead of both human and Varen science. And look at this. She highlighted a section of data. His genetic code contains markers that suggest his species has been actively evolving alongside advanced technology for millennia. That's consistent with what he told me, Reyna said. The Luminary Collective didn't steal or scavenge their advancements like the Varens. They developed naturally, sharing knowledge among themselves. Rhodes frowned. And you believe the Varens attacked them to steal this technology? Not just steal it, Thuris's melodious voice came through the observation room speakers. Despite the doctor's protests, he sat up on the medical bed. They want to weaponize it. Our understanding of quantum mechanics, our biotechnology, in Varen hands, it could be twisted into weapons of mass destruction. Dr. Hassan's eyes widened. You can hear us? My species' auditory capabilities are rather advanced, Thuris replied with what might have been a smile. Just as we can see the quantum probability waves that you call light. A junior officer burst into the observation room. Colonel. We're detecting multiple Varen signatures approaching the system. Long-range scans suggest it's their largest fleet movement yet. Rhodes turned to Reyna. It seems your alien friend has brought the war to our doorstep, Commander. No, Thuris said firmly. They were always coming. But now you have a chance to fight back. Let me share my knowledge with Dr. Hassan and her team. Together, we might be able to adapt luminary technology to protect this base. The colonel looked between Thuris, Reyna, and the increasingly worried expressions of his staff. Finally, he nodded. You have 24 hours. After that, if the Varens break through our defenses, none of this will matter anyway. As the others filed out to begin preparations, Reyna stayed behind. Through the glass, she watched Thuris working with Dr. Hassan, their differences forgotten in the pursuit of knowledge that might save them all. Commander, Thuris called out, those strange eyes finding her through the one-way glass. Thank you for trusting me. I know it wasn't easy. Trust goes both ways, she replied. You could have kept your knowledge to yourself, tried to bargain for sanctuary. That is the Varen way, hoarding power, using it to dominate others. My people learned long ago that knowledge shared is knowledge multiplied. Besides, his skin rippled with what she was beginning to recognize as amusement. I've seen how humans fight when protecting something they believe in. I think I made the right choice in allies. Reyna smiled despite the gravity of their situation. Let's hope you're right. We've got less than a day to prepare for the fight of our lives. Then we should begin, Thuris said, turning back to his work with Dr. Hassan. There is much to do, and the quantum probability waves are already shifting. Change is coming, Commander Nash. The only question is whether we will be ready to shape it. Deep within the base's research lab, Dr. Hassan's fingers flew across holographic displays while Thuris made adjustments to a complex array of crystalline structures. Reyna watched them work, her tactical mind trying to process the implications of what they'd discovered in the past few hours. These energy signatures, Dr. Hassan muttered, highlighting a pattern of data, they match readings we detected months ago, but couldn't explain. Commander, I think your friend here just solved a mystery that's been haunting us since the war began. Thuris's skin darkened to a deep indigo. The Varens have already begun implementing some of our technology. These readings suggest they've created quantum phase weaponry. Crude, by our standards, but devastating. That explains the ghost sights, Reyna said, remembering the mysterious destruction of several human outposts. Entire colonies just vanished. No debris, no bodies. Like they were never there. Lieutenant Dawson burst into the lab, his usually composed face tight with urgency. "Commander, you need to see this. We've decoded some of the Varen transmissions from the last battle." The decoded messages played out on the main screen, revealing a disturbing truth. The Varen fleet wasn't just coming to attack the base, they were racing to prevent exposure of something much bigger. "These orders," Patel said, joining them at the display, "they're not just military commands. They're trying to cover up decades of systematic theft and genocide." The Luminary Collective wasn't their first victim. Thuras approached the screen, his movements carrying a weight of ancient sorrow. "No, we were simply the latest. The Varens have been doing this for centuries, finding advanced civilizations, stealing their innovations, and erasing all evidence of their existence. But they made a mistake with my people." "What mistake?" Rhodes asked, entering the lab with a group of senior officers. "They didn't realize we had already shared our knowledge with other species, peaceful exchanges conducted in secret, preparing for exactly this scenario. The Varens thought they could simply erase us and claim our technology as their own invention. Instead." Thuras touched the display, bringing up a new set of data. Dr. Hassan gasped. "These are quantum entanglement signatures. Your people created a backup, didn't they? A way to preserve your knowledge even if you were wiped out." "Yes, but it's not just knowledge." Thuras's skin rippled with intensity. "It's proof. Evidence of every civilization the Varens have destroyed, every technology they've stolen. We've been gathering it for generations, waiting for the right moment, and the right allies, to expose the truth." A distant alarm began to wail. Rhodes grabbed a comm unit. "Report. Multiple Varen ships dropping out of hyperspace, sir. They're launching fighters, but something's wrong. Their formation is chaotic, desperate." Reyna studied the tactical display as it updated with the new threat. "They're not just coming to attack us. They're running from something." "What else haven't you told us, Thuras?" The alien's skin shifted through patterns she'd never seen before. "When I said we shared our knowledge with other species, I didn't tell you who. There are others out there, Commander. Species who have been watching, waiting, gathering their strength. The Varens' greatest fear isn't that we'll expose their lies, it's that their victims will return for justice." Dr. Hassan's instruments began registering massive energy spikes. "Something's coming through hyperspace. These readings, they're like nothing we've ever seen." "No," Thuras corrected, "they're like nothing the Varens have let you see. What's coming is the truth, and the consequences that follow it." Rhodes turned to Reyna. "Commander Nash, I need options. If we're about to be caught between a Varen fleet and an unknown force of God knows what." "We choose a side," Reyna interrupted, her voice firm. "The Varens have been lying to us, manipulating this war from the start. They're not the advanced civilization they claimed to be, they're parasites, feeding off the achievements of others." "And if these new arrivals aren't friendly?" Patel asked. Thuras's skin brightened. "They are the coalition of the preserved, representatives from every species the Varens tried to destroy. My people helped hide them, protect them, waiting for this moment. They don't want revenge, Commander. They want justice." Another alarm blared. The tactical display lit up with new signatures as massive ships began emerging from hyperspace, vessels of designs no human had ever seen, each one a testament to a civilization the Varens had tried to erase. "Colonel," Reyna said, turning to Rhodes, "we need to make a decision. Fast." Rhodes looked at the display, then at Thuras, and finally at the evidence of Varen deception playing across multiple screens. "Dr. Hassan, can you verify this data?" "All of it?" "Already done, sir. It's real. All of it." The colonel straightened his uniform. "Then let's make history. Commander Nash, prepare our forces to assist these new arrivals. It's time humanity stood on the right side of justice. As the base erupted into activity, Reyna caught Thuraz's eye. You knew this was coming. You chose us specifically, didn't you? I observed humanity's response to Varen aggression, he replied. You fought back, yes, but you never became like them. You maintained your principles, your compassion, even in the face of defeat. The Coalition needed to know there were still species worth saving in this galaxy. Outside, the sky was filling with ships of impossible designs, each one a monument to a civilization that had refused to be erased. The final battle was about to begin, not just for survival, but for truth itself. The space above Arcturus base had become a theater of war unlike anything in human history. Ships of countless designs, each representing a civilization the Varens had tried to destroy, moved in perfect coordination against the Varen fleet. On the command deck, Reyna stood with Thuraz and Colonel Rhodes, watching the battle unfold. The Varen formation is breaking, Patel reported from her tactical station. They're trying to regroup near the system's outer rim. Dr. Hassan burst onto the command deck, her eyes bright with excitement. The Coalition ships, they're not just fighting. They're implementing some kind of widespread quantum field. It's affecting Varen technology directly. Thuraz nodded, his skin pulsing with waves of light. The Coalition has spent generations developing countermeasures. Every piece of stolen technology the Varens use is being turned against them. They're learning that borrowed power is no match for true understanding. A massive Varen dreadnought suddenly went dark, its stolen systems failing under the Coalition's attack. But as it drifted, its weapons powered up for one final assault. They're targeting the base. Dawson shouted. Multiple quantum phase weapons charging. Reyna turned to Thuraz. Can your Coalition stop those weapons? Not in time. The quantum interference works gradually. Those weapons will fire before we can disable them. Rhodes grabbed the command comm, all personnel, brace for. Wait. Dr. Hassan interrupted. The modifications we made to the base's shields. Thuraz, if we reverse the quantum harmonics. The alien's skin brightened with understanding. Yes. Commander Nash, we need your help. The base's defense grid, it must be synchronized perfectly. Reyna didn't hesitate. Patel, Dawson, coordinate with all defense stations. Follow Thuraz's instructions exactly. She turned to Rhodes. Sir, we need to divert all power to the shields. The colonel nodded grimly. Do it. All stations, this is Colonel Rhodes. Transfer all non-essential power to defensive systems immediately. The base hummed with building energy as Thuraz and Dr. Hassan made rapid adjustments. The Varen dreadnought's weapons reached full charge, their stolen power preparing to tear reality itself apart. Quantum harmonics at maximum. Dr. Hassan called out. Commander, we need the defense grid now. Reyna's fingers flew across the tactical display, coordinating every defensive emplacement around the base. Grid synchronized. Thuraz, whatever you're going to do it now. The Varen weapons fired, releasing waves of destructive quantum energy toward the base. But as they struck the modified shields, something extraordinary happened. Instead of destroying the base, the energy was caught in a complex web of quantum fields. It's working! Thuraz exclaimed. The shield modifications, they're not just blocking the attack, they're redirecting it. The stolen energy twisted and turned, following paths laid out by human defenders and luminary science. In a brilliant display of light and power, it shot back toward the Varen fleet, amplified by the combined knowledge of a dozen fallen civilizations. The effect was devastating. Varen ships, their stolen systems unable to cope with the redirected energy, began shutting down or tearing themselves apart. The mighty fleet that had terrorized the galaxy was reduced to drifting hulks in a matter of minutes. Coalition vessels are moving to secure Varen survivors, Patel reported. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. The message that played through the command deck was a chorus of voices, each from a different species, each speaking in their own tongue, but all carrying the same message: the age of theft is over. The time of restoration begins. In the aftermath, as coalition ships began the process of rounding up the defeated Varens, Reyna found Thuras standing by a viewport, watching the activity outside. "Your people," she said, "all of you. You could have taken revenge. Destroyed them completely." Thuras's skin rippled thoughtfully. "That would have made us no better than them. The coalition exists not to punish, but to restore. Every civilization the Varens tried to erase will now have the chance to rebuild, to reclaim their heritage. And humanity will be part of that restoration." Colonel Rhodes approached them, holding a data pad. "We're receiving requests for diplomatic contact from over a dozen coalition species. They're impressed by how we handled ourselves today. Especially you, Commander Nash." "We just did what was right," Reyna said simply. "That's exactly why they're impressed," Thuras replied. "In a galaxy where the Varens promoted strength through domination, humanity showed strength through cooperation and trust. You'll have an important role to play in what comes next." Dr. Hassan joined them, her eyes still bright with excitement. "The coalition representatives are offering to share their knowledge with us. All of it. They say humanity has earned its place among the restored civilizations." "And the Varens?" Reyna asked. "They'll face justice," Thuras assured her, "but not vengeance. They'll be contained until they learn to live in peace with others. Their stolen technology will be returned to its rightful creators, and they'll have to advance on their own merits." Outside, coalition ships were already beginning the work of healing the scars of war. Teams of diverse species working together, sharing knowledge and resources freely. It was everything the Varens had feared, and everything they could have been part of, if they'd chosen cooperation over conquest. "It's going to be a lot of work," Rhodes said, watching the activity. "Rebuilding everything the Varens destroyed, establishing new relationships with all these species." Reyna smiled. "Then we'd better get started. After all, humanity's greatest strength isn't in our weapons or technology. It's in our ability to reach out to others, to build bridges instead of walls." Thuras's skin glowed with approval. "And that, Commander Nash, is why the galaxy's future is brighter with humanity in it. Now, shall we begin the real work of peace?" As they walked together toward the diplomatic conference room, Reyna reflected on how much had changed in just a few days. What had started as a simple rescue mission had evolved into humanity's introduction to a larger, more complex galaxy. But with allies like Thuras and the Coalition, she was confident they would face whatever challenges came next. The age of deception was over. The time of truth, trust, and cooperation had begun.